nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. It looks like Blade Runner 2049 outside. So god damn it, I'm bringing my own whimsy, Jeff. Bring your own whimsy 2020. This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Cannata.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens.
Anthony, there's been a lot of chatter online. There's been a lot of
online. Online,
some chatter online. There's been a lot of people really making a whole big deal about the fact that we found aliens on Venus. We found
Jeff. That is a big deal.
Life.
I haven't heard about this, and this seems like it would be a very big deal. We've found extraterrestrial life on Venus. That's huge.
Yeah, that would be huge if that's the case. And I feel, as you know, an award-winning science podcast, it is our duty to take a look at this big science story, which is undoubtedly a big science story. If indeed extraterrestrial life lives right here on Venus, our nearest neighbor in the solar system. You know, I think it would be a big deal. So let us dive in to all of this chatter about extraterrestrial life on Venus. Because if you just saw the headlines, that's why you turn to the We Have Concerns podcast, right? To get deeper than the headlines, to give you that hard truth. That's what we're known for.
Oh, I just looked this up.
No. Let me tell you. All right.
Yeah.
Here's what we found. Well, let's actually set the stage first.
Sure.
Venus, of course, the second planet from the sun in our solar system. A lot of people maybe counterintuitive to some that Venus is actually also the hottest planet in the solar system. It's not Mercury. Mercury is closer to the sun.
Now.
Oh, it's so hot. It's Instas. It's going crazy.
Fire. It's TikTok is blowing up.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, a lot of people would intuit perhaps that Mercury, because it's closer to the sun, is actually hotter than Venus. No. Venus, the hottest planet. In fact, the surface of Venus is about 860 degrees Fahrenheit. That's real hot.
Yeah, Venus is a real pressure cooker. Venus is like what? It's like mostly carbon dioxide. It's like 100 times the pressure of Earth at sea level. Like, yeah, it's a pressure cooker.
It's not a place where we would think that life could be. Maybe there was a time. Carl Sagan has actually theorized famously in the 60s that there may have been life on Venus millions of years ago, because Venus now is basically where we're headed here on Earth. Venus used to be covered with lots of water. It used to be much more temperate. And now it is not. Now it is a fiery furnace of death gases. And so that's, it's kind of what's happening outside my window every day here in 2020. But so, yeah, I don't think when scientists are looking for life, they look to Venus. However, a scientist recently decided sort of on a whim to go looking for a very specific gas. It's called phosphine. Phosphine is a gas that exists in 3 places in our solar system. It's not just unique to Earth. It is here on Earth, but not unique to Earth. We find it on Earth in swamps and marshlands, and also in the intestines of animals. Organisms secrete this stuff. It smells terrible. It's toxic to us as humans, but it is oftentimes a signature of life. Now, it does exist on Jupiter and on Saturn, but it is forged on those planets in violent storms under extreme conditions. Very, very rare that kind of situation would create phosphine, and that kind of situation does not exist on Venus. So that cannot be the explanation. But we can observe phosphine based on a particular kind of glow that is observable from Earth. But if we see it from Earth, it means there's a significant amount of phosphine in the atmosphere.
Okay.
So this astronomer Jane Greaves, an astronomer at Cardiff University in Wales. She decides Cardiff, the fighting diffs, right?
Cardiff is that's where the Doctor lands. Cardiff is very important
yes,
in Doctor
indeed.
Who mythology, so it makes sense that all this would be going down in Cardiff.
Yeah. She actually used a telescope that is based in Hawaii to observe Venus for just a couple of hours, just on a whim. Just like, I'm going to check out Venus. I'm kind of curious about phosphine. No one really looks for phosphine on Venus. In a couple of hours, she observes the signature for phosphine in the atmosphere on Venus. She goes, that can't be right. She sends her observations to a team in Chile that has another very powerful telescope. They go, yeah, we're seeing that too. So they send it to this scientist, Susa Silva at MIT, this woman at MIT who is spent her entire career studying phosphine. And she goes,
Life of the party, this one.
It's the phosphine lady. You know, they call her Dr. Phosphine.
Listen, I'm going to go to your work party, but you have to promise me. You have to promise me that I'm not going to get stuck talking to the phosphine lady again.
Well, she really likes you.
I know, but you always go off, and I understand it's a work thing and you've got a network, but just bring me with you. That's all I'm saying. Why can't you just bring me with you? I'm your partner. You can just introduce me to people around, because otherwise I wind up sitting by the chips with the phosphine lady.
Well, she has some very new observations about phosphine that she's really excited to tell you about. You were so attentive last time. You're really the only one that gives her the time of day.
I'm just being polite. No one can talk about phosphine for 4 hours.
She can.
I know.
She does. She's a phosphine lady.
She's the phosphine lady. Every party has a phosphine lady.
Every party. Look to your left, look to your right. If you don't see the phosphine lady, you're the phosphine lady.
You're the phosphine lady. You ever caught yourself in a party being the phosphine lady to somebody?
Oh man, there are times when I have caught myself and went, "Am I being boring right now?"
I'm the most boring person alive, and I am midway through this story. I just have to barrel through, right?
I just have to finish it. It finishes big. I promise.
It finishes big. You're not getting. It doesn't finish big. You're not getting. There's nothing exciting to believe about phosphine until I guess this week.
Yeah, this week, big day for the phosphine lady. She gets a call, hanging out at MIT. All of a sudden, international sensation, the phosphine lady.
Now everybody wants to talk to phosphine lady at the party.
Yeah, Ms. Susa Silva at MIT. She says, "Yeah, that's some phosphine. I've spent my whole life being able to tell what is phosphine and what is not. That's some phosphine."
I know.
So she stops the party. She comes running out into the street and she screams at the heavens, "Venus has phosphine!" Here's the thing.
Okay.
Phosphine, there's a number of things that can create phosphine, right? We know that. I mentioned Jupiter and Saturn have all these crazy things. So it doesn't necessarily mean it is life. Organisms, it is a feature of organisms. Sometimes these microorganisms can secrete phosphine, and it could mean that there is life in the upper atmosphere of Venus, because while it is 860 degrees on the surface of Venus, the upper atmosphere cools significantly and actually gets fairly habitable. But it means that if there are microorganisms, they got to be floating around up in the upper part of the atmosphere. And they also have to really not care about sulfuric acid. Like, it has to not phase them at all.
Well, here's a question. What about extremophiles? Could extremophiles be giving this off?
Well, yes. By definition, any organism that would be giving this off on Venus would be an extremophile, because
even if they're in the upper atmosphere.
Yeah, because it doesn't necessarily even refer to the temperature that they're living in. It's the fact that there are gases that would literally kill everything here on Earth. Not everything, but
right.
This is an uninhabitable environment. It doesn't kill toxic.
The Vex, Jeff, but the Vex aren't organic.
Well, yeah, the Vex will kill you, is what it is.
The Vex will kill you. The Vex exist in multiple points in time. That's the thing.
That's That's why they're so vexing.
Here's what I know about Venus, Jeff, and it all comes from Destiny. It all comes from Destiny 2.
Yeah, no, that's a good source of scientific observation.
That's what I know about Venus. There's a beautiful old library there, very lush jungles, and the Vex. That's what I know about Venus. Does any of that apply?
I'm going to say no.
All right. So we haven't found the library.
No, there's no library. There's no Vex as of yet.
That we know of. Please, this is an award-winning science podcast. Please say that we know of.
I will not completely rule out the Vex. In fact, I think there's some commitment from Ms. Sousa Silva that if we find actual microbes, they will be named Vex. I think there's some deal with Bungie for that naming rights.
They're everywhere, that Bungie marketing team.
Yeah, they're good. So here is what they did. The scientists decided to build a computer simulation to test out some theories. They built a sort of working computer simulation of Venus, and they sent, digital jolts of lightning through the atmosphere. They sent meteorites crashing through the clouds. They did all of these kinds of scenarios to try to simulate what might cause phosphine on Venus. And they did manage to produce phosphine in these scenarios, but in tiny, tiny amounts, not nearly enough to be observable from Earth.
Okay.
So there is literally no explanation as to how this could have happened and be observable. So there are 3 scenarios that seem to be possible.
The Vex.
One, the Vex. One is life. Just like here on Earth, there are organisms that secrete this, because the way the upper atmosphere of Venus works, any amount of phosphine that would be there would dissipate so quickly that we wouldn't even be able to notice it. So there must be something replenishing that phosphine in order for us to see it.
Okay.
So replenishing the phosphine could be a living creature, an alien extraterrestrial bent on our destruction. No, probably just a simple
but very
organism.
Tiny, but very tiny. Bent on our destruction,
evil.
But still evil. And if there's one thing we've learned in 2020, it's take microorganisms that want you dead seriously.
For sure.
So we cannot rule this out, and we must be on our guard. We must be on our guard.
If you thought COVID was bad, you haven't seen the phosphine beast.
You haven't seen the Microvex.
Microvex. Oh, Jesus. How can you protect yourself against Microvex?
You can't.
It's simple. You can't?
You can't. Well, obviously,
also,
wear a
when
mask.
not when they get a hold of tiny sniper rifles. It's going to be terrible.
What you have to do is you have to wear a tiny 4-dimensional mask.
Yeah,
because the Vex are a networked, connected hive mind that exists in time.
Yeah. Also, it's super useful to get your light level up. If you're not working on that, you really should be.
You should be grinding your light level at all times in 2020. Not just, listen to me, not just because of the COVID, but because of listen, California's on fire. There's a lot going on. You're going to need a high light level right now.
My light level is woefully low. I will tell you that right now.
How's your scarf game?
Dude, have you ever seen me with a scarf ever?
Oh no, you got to have a real fancy scarf.
I need a scarf.
You got to call it.
I think I picked the wrong class.
Call it a cape, but it's a scarf.
I think I picked the wrong class.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so we have option 1
is life.
Option 1 is all the headlines that we saw this week. Extraterrestrial, possible alien life on Venus. Okay.
I bet option 2 and 3 are so boring.
Yeah.
Whenever I see headlines that say possible life discovered, I'm like, ooh, the real discovery is so boring. Lay it on me, Jeff. Lay on me the 2 more realistic expectations.
Well, one of them is actually kind of fascinating, and that is literally some kind of chemical reaction is happening that we have never seen on Earth. It is a new phenomenon. There is something producing phosphine that isn't a living thing, but is some crazy combination of or just a new molecule. It's a brand new molecule that we just don't have on Earth and have never observed. That's
See, I like
cool.
that. That's super cool. And I feel like that's more, I don't know why I feel like that's a more realistic answer than the life thing. I think I'm just
probably because life has been elusive. And the fact that it'd be right next door at Venus seems real unlikely.
You just call me a little dark side because I am anti-life. I just don't think it's happening. That's all. I like this idea of a novel component or a novel chemical that we've never seen.
Yeah, that would be pretty wild and a big scientific moment in and of itself. I think that would be a big deal. Okay, option 3. It's not phosphine. Option 3 is. It looks like phosphine.
But we called the phosphine lady.
Yeah. Phosphine lady got too excited.
No,
and it's not phosphine.
Here's the thing is I think if you're the phosphine lady, here's what I think about this third option before you even explain it to me. The phosphine lady has been working her whole life on phosphine. Phosphine's her shit, right?
She lives it. She breathes it.
She can't breathe it. Do not breathe it.
No, she lives and breathes it. That's my understanding.
No, that's not possible or healthy. Here's the thing. If this is Phosphine's big moment, if there's a possibility that this is the big day for Phosphine, I think as the Phosphine lady, you want to be real sure you don't fuck it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're the phosphine lady, you don't want to look at it and go, phosphine, fuck you, I was right. And then have everybody look later and be like, Gladys? Not phosphine.
Yeah.
Did you double check that math?
I thought it was.
Did you get real excited about phosphine?
Yeah.
You got excited, didn't you?
I thought
because we got the party on Friday. We got the party on Friday, and you were really excited to talk about phosphine.
For once, everyone was going to be. I was going to be the one turning other people away. You know what I'm saying? That's what.
Right, but see, now you're the girl who cried phosphine. You know, fool me once, shame on me, is what I'm saying. But fool me twice, fuck phosphine.
next time, it might very well be phosphine, though. So you have to keep listening.
I'm not going to listen to you. La. You fucked it. Fuck you and fuck phosphine is all I'm saying.
I've wasted my life.
So I just think that she's not going to get phosphine wrong. But go ahead.
Well, it's possible that there is some other phenomenon that we've also never observed that creates the exact same indicators, right? We're not actually observing phosphine in any real way. We're observing this indicator that has always pointed in the
atmosphere.
Yes, it's always the way the light reflects on another. It's always indicated phosphine.
Are you getting poetic about phosphine?
I love
the way the light reflects off the phosphine over the sunsets on Venus.
Yeah, the sunsets on Venus. Yeah.
Are you going Rutger Hauer on me?
Yeah. If you've never
I've seen C-beams glittering on the Tannhauser Gate.
I've seen phosphine infect my eye from the surface of Venus. You know, that's what I've seen. So there's that possibility. So how do we know for sure? Well, we got to go there. There is no way to know.
You're speaking my language, Jeff Kanata. Let's go to Venus, motherfuckers. We got to go to Venus.
Here's the problem with going to Venus, Anthony.
All the damn phosphine?
There's a lot of phosphine, so much phosphine. No, it's that thing we started with that whole pesky 860 degrees Fahrenheit thing.
Sure, 860 degrees Fahrenheit, 100 times the pressure of Earth at sea level. Blah 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 blah. Why are we going to Mars? Mars is just dirt and Matt Damon.
Yeah, you got Dirt and Damon. The problem with this whole plan
is there. We got a library. We got the Vex.
You got the Vex to find.
Phosphine.
Our light level's getting higher every day. The same probe that we sent to Mars would melt in hours on Venus. The probe itself would melt.
Then quit being lazy with your probes and make a better probe.
Got to make a better probe.
Make a better probe. You keep making the same probe.
Detector. You got to make a better probe.
I'll tell you what. Yeah. Can I be real, Jeff? I think this is a safe space, right? In addition to being an award-winning science podcast, it is a safe space.
Yeah,
I think I can be honest here.
Yeah.
So like Mars rovers. Are you a little bored with Mars rovers? We just keep sending Mars rovers, and they just keep sending back like, yeah, it's still Mars.
Still Mars. Haven't found anything.
The rovers are like, you coming, dog? It's still Mars.
Still Mars. There's so
You
many
keep launching
Damons
us
up here.
It's still Mars.
Matt Damon's waiting for everybody up here.
What's next? Are you coming, dog?
Well,
I say
you know what?
make a better probe, make a better lander. Let's get to Venus now.
Got to get to Venus now. It's so close. It's right there.
It's right there.
Here's the thing I learned in this story about Mars, though. Did you know that we've detected methane on Mars and we don't know why? We have no idea why. We have no idea how methane is being created on Mars.
Mars cows.
It's a very similar situation where
It's Mars cows. Fart.
Mars gas. Mars is farting. Is that what you're saying?
Mars cows are farting. If Mars would eat more veggie burgers, there wouldn't be as much methane.
I don't know. I've gotten a fair amount of methane from veggie burgers myself.
Oh, Jesus.
No, it's true. This is a very similar situation where we saw methane on Mars a long time ago, and we're like, maybe there's animals up there making methane. And no, there aren't. At least we haven't found them yet. And
We keep asking the rovers, and the rovers are like, I don't know, come look for yourself.
yeah, come up here, bro.
You keep
Come
sending
up
me.
here.
Look at it. I'll send you pictures back. You want another picture? Here it is.
I wanted to
It's
go
Mars.
to Venus. And you sent me here.
I asked
Yeah.
to be assigned to Venus.
So they don't even know. They think there may be some weird interaction between the rock and ancient water on Mars that created methane, and there's cracks in the ground releasing it. But they have no idea. They're just theorizing. They have no idea what creates the methane. So this could be a situation where phosphine is the new methane, where it's just like, yeah, it's not life, but
Venus is the new Mars. Phosphine is the new methane.
yeah,
Venus is so hot right now.
so hot, dude.
It's so hot all the time.
Mars old and busted. Venus the new hotness. You know what I'm saying?
Which one of these three does your gut tell you? Which one do you think is the most realistic? And which one?
I'm going
Is your
with
heart
option
telling
2.
you?
I really do think it's just some phenomenon we have not witnessed in our galaxy before. It is some new molecule or some new thing that is creating phosphine, and it is not related to life. But I hope it's life. That would be cool, man.
It'd be so cool. Let me tell you something.
What do you think would happen? Like the day we send Venus rover, we build a better rover, we send Venus rover. Venus rover's like, look, tiny living organisms on another planet. What is day 2 of that? Does that change anything here on Earth? Does religion have to be rewritten? Does anybody care?
No, religion doesn't even begin to get rewritten until larger intelligent life is found somewhere else.
Right.
What we will need for religion to start being rewritten or reconceptualized is we need to go to another planet and find human-like life forms that can talk back to us and
they're
see
like,
that they
nah, dog.
Yeah.
There's no God.
or see that they have a different religion. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
or no religion, like you're saying. Like, I think that's what it will take. I think if we find microbes, I think that's another, like, isn't it amazing? The Lord created these other planets and put microbes and other things on them for us to find. And, I think it becomes a manifest destiny thing. I think it's like, well, obviously, I think it becomes a religious thing of, well, now God wants us to push out into the,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it takes other intelligent life, but I do think beyond and putting aside the religious implications, I think it would become a huge deal. And then within 3 days, a large portion of the internet would be negging it. I think a large portion of the internet would be like, so what? Floating microbes, whatever. And we'd just be like, other life. And they'd be like, not really, though.
Yeah.
Just
but that would-
microbes.
Yeah, I guess I think people would be cynical, but it would be such a massive notion that because I think what that would indicate is that millions and millions or billions, whatever, years ago, the surface of Venus was habitable by a thing.
Or
Something bad happened, and that thing, whatever it is that survived, had to go up into the upper atmosphere and evolved to sort of handle those extreme conditions. But I think we would probably come to the conclusion that it didn't evolve just in that atmosphere, that the planet had life on it at one time. And the remnants of that are these things that are these, extremophiles that can handle what the planet turned into over millions of years.
Or
kind of like what's happening on Earth.
It could have been seeded. It could have been, carried from another, or it could have been chemical reactions within the atmosphere itself. Some of these reactions that we don't understand that created microbes and extremophile microbes, much like we think the first microbes started here. It could be that life is starting from the atmosphere there. That would be kind of cool, right? And there wasn't
wild.
But here's the problem with that theory is we know there's a giant library there.
We do know that. I've actually seen it with my own eyes, in first person. You know what I'm saying? First person perspective is how I saw that, and so that's how I know.
But yeah, I think, actually finding microbes would be wild, because then I think step 2 would be, how do we transport these things back to Earth to study? You know.
Right.
We want to study them from a distance. We send some sort of like a mobile floating lab or something like that. And we would do that, but we get to a point where we'd be like, we want that data. We want that good data that only comes from Earth. And then it becomes a whole thing of like, you can't bring those microbes back to Earth. What are those microbes going to do? And then it turns into like, you know what I mean? Then it gets real sci-fi from there.
Then we get the
which
microvex attacking us. But the thing, we joked about it being the new hotness, but it literally might be the idea that we have spent all of this time, money, and energy sending probes one direction in our solar system, like out toward Mars in that direction. And all of a sudden now we got to spin up. I'm sure there's a bunch of scientists going, oh man, how do we get a probe to Venus to find out the other direction? So now how many years between today from this one woman who just on a whim, like pointed the Hawaii telescope to like multi-billion-dollar Venus probe to find out what's going on with that phosphine?
Well, I think, I do think that we've always wanted to send probes everywhere. And I think one of the reasons we do Mars, one of the reasons we went in that direction is like, well, what's easiest to get to? Moon. Okay. What's next easiest for all of the various reasons we know? Mars.
Right.
So that's like, we only have the resources, I think, to be kind of single-mindedly focused with this sort of thing. But, yeah, maybe we start diverting some stuff over Venus way. That would be really wonderful.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
I think this is fascinating. And yes, all of the headlines are a little misleading, but it's still, I think, a big science story that points to something that could be potentially really interesting and exciting, regardless of how it all turns out. Like it does seem, no matter what we find, it's going to be something new and interesting that sheds light on how our solar system works that we didn't know.
Listen, we've said it before. We'll say it again. Science headlines are always clickbait, but science headlines are always clickbait because goddamn is it ever hard to get people to click on a science story.
That's
Maybe
right.
if you would try to read more science stories, human race, they wouldn't be so clickbaity. It's a chicken and egg situation.
Don't get us started about a science podcast, how hard it is to get people to click on that. Woo!
Oh my God. The hardest ever. And it's an even more uphill battle to become an award-winning science podcast.
Yet somehow we did it.
Yet somehow we did it. And let me tell you what a big secret of that is, Jeff. The big secret of that is the concerned citizens that support us, the patrons over on patreon.com/wehaveconcerns.
The real heroes.
The real heroes. Imagine
our own phosphine ladies, if you will.
They're a bunch of, listen, I look at them and I see a bunch of phosphine ladies all ready for the big day. Now's the big day, phosphine ladies. Head to patreon.com/wehaveconcerns and help support the podcast. For just $1 or more a month, you get access to our Discord, which is an absolutely wonderful community. Imagine social media without the garbage.
Yeah, it's like a party where everyone is interesting and no one is boring,
or mean. We don't get a lot of meanies over there either. It's a real chill place to come and hang. It is probably the last bastion of social media, the last thing that I really enjoy on the internet. So $1 or more a month gets you access to that. $3 or more every month gets you access to the Discord and our cold opens, those little discussions that we're having as the episode starts. You get those as a bonus show every week. And we got more too. We got patron hangouts.
Man, so good.
We got bonus episodes with our guests going all the way back to the beginning of the show. Every guest we've ever had on has a bonus episode of the show that you have access to. And then if you're a precog at the $10 a month or more level, you get all your episodes early and the occasional bonus extra for precogs as well. So that's a very exciting thing. And of course, all the money goes to supporting the show and keeping the show running. It's the only way we keep the show running. And so we really appreciate it. Head to patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. Jeff, I take a lot of medication.
Okay.
Let's be real. Let's be 100% real in the year of our Lord 2020.
I mean, that's fair.
I take a lot of meds. But, you know, we all take a lot of medication comparatively to 100 years ago, to 200 years ago, right? Like we have access to things now on a daily basis, little things that we take for granted that people didn't have access to. Think about things like
but that's just because, you know, back then one dollop of Quicksilver did the trick. That's all you needed.
And the problem is the Quicksilver mines ran dry years and years and years ago.
Yeah.
And the good drinking mercury's gone. All that's left is the poison mercury, not the mercury that gives you the good ideas.
No, that's the problem is that, you know, we have to have so many more medications because you can't just drink mercury anymore.
One of the things that we do take for granted is acetaminophen, right? Tylenol.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Paracetamol, which is, you know, Panadol. It's all names of the same thing. It's a very common over-the-counter pain relief medication. You know, it's even, you know, sometimes it's even recommended for some people with chronic pain or injuries or specific sort of maladies to take acetaminophen every day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think my dad does that. I think he takes it every single day as prescribed.
Every single day. Here's something very interesting, though, about all of these medications. We know what they do. We know how they do it. We have not always
know why they do it. Why? What's their motivation?
What's their motivation?
What do they want out of this deal? You know what I'm saying?
What does the aspirin get out of this? Well, we know what they do. We know how they do it. But as we learn more about the systems that medications interact with and how those systems interact with other systems in our bodies, we're finding out new and interesting things about some medications that we have been taking for granted for a very long time.
I feel like when you say interesting, it really means I should be worried about something, right?
Well, Jeff, according to a new study, acetaminophen, your friend and mine, increases risk-taking behaviors, according to a new study that measures changes in people's behavior when under the influence of the medication. It seems to make people feel less negative emotion when they consider risky activities.
You turn into a Brock when you take Tylenol?
That's what they say. That's what they say, according to this new study from, of course, Ohio State University. Go Buckeyes.
The Ohio State University. Thank you very much.
25% of the population in the United States, Jeff, takes acetaminophen each week.
Yeah, I bet.
Meaning,
and 25% of people are doing crazy shit all the time.
You take acetaminophen and you just ride a unicycle into oncoming traffic.
You're like, I no longer have a headache. I can do anything. I am a golden god.
So acetaminophen's effects. So let me just. The point of the study is that these reduced risk perceptions and increased risk taking could actually have effects on society as a whole, right? So there is a whole body of research recently. I looked into this after this was submitted on the Discord by another Jay Martin. And after reading this, I started looking into this recent body of study about acetaminophen. Its effects on pain reduction apparently also extend to receptivity to hurt feelings or hurting somebody else's feelings or getting your feelings hurt.
You could take a Tylenol to get over hurt feelings? Wow.
Reduced empathy.
Yikes.
And actually blunting your cognitive functions.
Oh my. It makes you dumber?
Yeah, it makes you a little dumber. makes you a little less, makes you care a little less about hurting other people's feelings or having your feelings hurt, makes you a little more prone to risky behavior. And this is because of something that we know about acetaminophen, which is it affects the insular cortex. The insular cortex doesn't just affect it's not just this thing that affects physical pain reception. And that's what I think is interesting about these old medications, right? It doesn't just affect physical pain reception, it affects emotional regulation, which is why we also have reduced pain sensitivity.
Oh my God.
So we've always known that it affects the insular cortex, but we haven't really thought about the entirety of what that means, right? So something that I find interesting about this is you get medication, and when you look at your medication, it always tells you side effects, but those side effects are always physical. Have you noticed that?
Sure. Yeah, of course.
It always tells you
measurable, right?
Yeah, it could cause headaches, could cause drowsiness, but it never says, "Hey man, this is going to make you a little more irritable. Hey man, this is
a dick.
This is going to make you a little sad sometimes when you take it." Like, we don't say those things because those were not considered important things, because we didn't think about them. We thought, you take an aspirin, your fucking headache goes away.
Yeah. Yeah.
You take an acetaminophen, the pain goes away, right? I'm using aspirin and acetaminophen interchangeably, and I shouldn't be, but you all get what I'm saying. So this is what's interesting. I looked into this, and the acetaminophen thing, like, number one, it is not something we super need to worry about because most of us are not taking it all the time, and the emotional effects wear off along with the pain-killing effects. So if you take an acetaminophen and in 3 hours you have a headache again, that means in 3 hours your cognitive everything is back to normal, and it does not have any long-lasting effects.
So wait, this will happen if I haven't taken Tylenol in, months and months. I take 2 Tylenol because I have a headache. This will happen, or it has to be somebody that takes it daily?
It will happen no matter what. It's very small. It's larger in some people, but it's very small. But you may find you take a Tylenol for a headache and you feel a little bit better, and maybe, like, I don't know, you impulse shop a little more.
Yeah, maybe you want to go hang gliding all of a sudden. Maybe you drive a
little faster, or you decide to hang glide. You decide you see a video on Vimeo of somebody in one of those flying squirrel suits.
Yeah. No, that's what you want to do.
I don't know why it's on Vimeo, but those videos are always on Vimeo.
They're always on Vimeo. You know why? Because the cinematography is always so fantastic. You really want the colors to pop. Vimeo's that high quality, that place for high quality video. Not like
if you're gonna die in a wingsuit, you want it to be in that crispy, gorgeous Vimeo quality.
You don't want to die on YouTube like some.
No. Everybody dies on YouTube like some Russian dash cam accident. That's not what you want. You paid a lot of money for a wingsuit.
Yeah, and
you paid a lot of money
to the premium GoPro. You know what I'm saying?
You rented a red and a telephoto lens for your friend to have on the beautiful cliffs.
Yeah, you got that Vimeo subscription, baby.
You got that Vimeo, dog. And maybe you take 2 acetaminophen.
Yeah, and then you decide to upgrade on Vimeo. It's an impulse.
Yeah, you just go to Vimeo Pro. You take 2 acetaminophen. You go, I'm gonna get in a wingsuit and I'm gonna make a Vimeo video. By the time you drive out there and you start putting on the wingsuit, the acetaminophen's worn off, and you're just like, this is a bad idea. But this is the thing. It's small in most people. It's almost unnoticeable. And that's one of the reasons that this study is so fascinating is we don't think a lot about our mood or our thoughts or our emotions a lot. Some of us do more than others, but there's not a lot of like, hey, what am I feeling? I mean, you probably recognize this all the time. You've got 2 toddlers toddling around. You have to stop them and you have to be like, are you sad? Are you crying because you're sad, or are you crying because you're hungry?
Right.
And we think that goes away when we get older. It does not.
It doesn't. No, it certainly does not. I find a number, I cannot count on my, if I could nickel for every time I've gotten into an argument and I realized I just need a fucking sandwich. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or whatever. Like, why is this bugging me? It's that thing we talk about, the sympathetic reactions, the fact that there's a little more pressure on your chest. And so on the plane. And so you cry at more movies on the plane because your body feels the pressure as sadness. Right.
Right.
So there are all these little things. And we found, I thought about this and I was like, hey, I wonder what other medications are this heavily prescribed, are this normal, and have just as large or maybe even larger effects on people. Because this, I'm telling you, this acetaminophen thing, we certainly should look into it, and we should make better acetaminophen, if that makes sense. Whatever the next acetaminophen is that doesn't affect our emotions or our mood, because like now we know a little bit more about the brain, and we know a little bit more about chemistry, and we could probably make something that pinpoints a little better, right?
Yeah. Acetaminophen, like that.
Yeah. Like a Bradley Cooper movie about acetaminophen. Like when I was a teen, they wanted to give every kid Ritalin for ADHD. And that was like a shotgun blast to your brain. Whereas like now you have like an Adderall or a Vyvanse, which work a little bit more, precisely. I would love for things to work a little bit even more precisely, but it's fine. We're getting there. I'm just saying we maybe need that for acetaminophen, but some other things. I started reading about this study. So patient 5, okay? Patient 5 in this study, guy's in his late 50s, starts taking a statin in this study to see if the cholesterol-lowering drugs, the statin is a cholesterol-lowering drug, will help his diabetes, right? He starts this study, and all of a sudden, he becomes like explosively angry. All of a sudden he has road rage all the time. At some point he tells his family to get away and leave him alone before he puts him in a hospital. Whoa. Like, you need to leave me alone or I'm going to get so mad. I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to put you in a hospital. He had to stop driving. Even as a passenger, he had to tell his wife to turn around and go home sometimes when she was driving because he would get so angry. And then all of a sudden he was like, a few weeks in, he was like, wait a minute. This only started when I started taking this statin. If I stop taking this pill, this will go away. And it did.
So is he just a weird edge case, or is this something that we just haven't really been tracking?
Oh, no. This is something we have not really been tracking, Jeff.
Wow.
They told him to stay on the study. They told him this can't happen. This is not an interaction that they know about.
They just said, no, you're wrong. Your anger
wrong.
is...
We know what this statin does. We've been giving out statins. Statins are crazy, crazy heavily prescribed. If you're a dude and you're over 40... I think there's like a 1 in 3 chance or 50% chance you're on a statin.
Ask your doctor what statin can do for you.
You'll make you angry is what it'll do for you.
Make you pissed off. Yeah.
Make you pissed off. Lower that cholesterol. Make you real mad. Low cholesterol is lower. Blood's better. Mad blood.
Mad blood.
Angry blood. So this is what's really wild.
We got a whole generation of 50 somethings that are just angry at the world. And there's no evidence of that. There's no voting record we can point to about that.
Well, so here's the thing. There's this researcher who was like, man, is there something to this? And it was because she was chatting with a cholesterol expert, and he was like, yeah, it's funny. Like, people with lower cholesterol levels are more likely to die violent deaths. And she's like, why? He's like, I don't know. I don't know.
I just report the news. I don't fucking ask.
And she's like, well, is it the statin? And they're like, I don't know. No, probably not. And so she looks into it and she starts running these studies, and she finds out that, like, even if you put primates on a low cholesterol diet, they become more aggressive.
Whoa.
As your cholesterol gets lower, you become more aggressive.
Jesus Christ. So we have an option of either killing each other violently or dying from a heart attack. That's our two options now.
Well, so here's the thing. If you're taking a statin, it's because your cholesterol is so high that you are in danger of dying.
Yeah.
You're in danger of dying. So you should take the statin. But what they're saying is
we need a better statin.
Not just do we need a better statin, but it's like grabbing that toddler and being like,
right.
Are you really angry right now? What are you angry about? Are you normally this angry?
Oh, I see. We got to learn how to deal with the mood swings that come with the medication, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
I'm going to put you on this heart medication, and I want you to know you're probably going to want to strangle your wife. That's a rough day at the doctor, you know?
But at the same time, a doctor these days will hand you a medication that you're supposed to take without even thinking about it. And once again, I'm saying I'm a big fan of medications. I'm on a lot of medications. Medications are good. You should take your medications. But right now, a doctor will hand you a medication and be like, yeah, this is going to fix your headache. But it, and in certain rare cases, it'll make you bleed from your eyes and
yeah, right.
Like give you explosive diarrhea and you'll have to sleep for 20 hours a day. Real small chance of that, but sometimes it happens. And we take the medication, right? And 9 times out of 10, you don't bleed from your eyes. But if you do, you're okay because it's said on the label, my dude, you might bleed from your eyes.
Yeah, you're like, you know what? This is on me.
Yeah, the label doesn't say, my dude, you're going to scream in traffic.
By this, I mean the eye blood.
Right, the eye blood is yours to deal with. It's all over me. But it doesn't say, my guy, if you take this medication, you're going to scream in traffic. It'll tell you that you're going to bleed from your eyes, but it won't tell you you're going to scream from traffic.
Right.
And there are a bunch of medications that basically do this. Like one of the biggest medications for Parkinson's right now gives people like major impulse control problems. It turned one guy into like a gambling addict.
Wow.
It turned one guy into, he's just gambling all the time. He had no impulse control.
Is there any part of this that's just like convenient?
Look, if this was a story of a guy that was like, hey, I took this medication for Parkinson's and it turned me into a serial bank robber. Like, that's kind of like, it's a stretch.
Right.
But
that's what I'm saying. Is it, are we having a scapegoat here? Are we saying, well, it's the crazy medicine? I mean, I'm not trying to doubt this because I do believe that we don't pay enough attention to brain chemistry and mood. And I do think that there is so simple sometimes to, we talk about this so often on the show is you are inside this little subjective experience inside your brain and you're looking out and you're like, wow, I decided to make this decision today. And I thought positively and all these things that we think we have so much agency over. And it's like, there's fucking chemicals in your brain that are affected by the food you eat and all kinds of reactions that are happening inside your body that are more powerful than your positive thinking and more powerful than your little subjective reality that you're trying to impact, right? I do believe that's the case. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know.
Well, I think you're right. I think we need to believe these things are happening, but we also need to study these things and make sure that they're definitely happening and happening to the extent that people are saying that they're happening.
Right.
Because there was a town councilor in England who did carry out a $60,000 fraud and said it was because of his Parkinson's medication, saying like it completely changed his personality. He was like, I'd never thought about doing this before in my life. And then I took this medication. I was like, this would be so easy. I could just do this. I'll just do it.
Wow, man.
Like, but at the same time, like whether this guy is lying or not, whether it really made him do it or whether like he had always thought about it and this was the trigger or whether he's entirely lying, like that's a thing that would be very valuable to know. But also, once again, it's not like he couldn't take that medication. He had Parkinson's.
Right. Yeah. You don't have an option. Yeah. And I see what you're saying. Really, the thrust of your argument is that it's not demonizing the medication or not taking the medication for some reason. It's literally like we have to incorporate this in a more holistic approach of, hey, this comes with a lot of other things that we just haven't been talking about thus far.
Yes. These have not been the important, noticeable parts of the study. The way the FDA is set up, it is set up so it's like, does this drug make you sick? Does this drug kill you? What are the side effects of this drug physically?
Right.
Put them on a list. Put the pros and the cons on a list, and then we decide whether it's a safe medication. But there's no checkbox for, well, in a lot of people, it seems to make them gambly.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to measure, right? I feel like you either had explosive diarrhea or you didn't, right? There's no gray area there. There's a lot of brown area, no gray area.
Usually tears and not blood from my eyes.
Exactly.
Blood from my eyes. That's
very
big.
noticeable.
That's new.
That's an easy checkbox to tick, you know. But the like, I felt shitty today, and I kind of wanted to spend my entire life savings on black, you know, on the roulette table. Like, what? How do you even quantify that?
Yeah. Other than these things that happen in hindsight, where you can say like, oh yeah, he had never gambled before in his life, and then all of a sudden he just started like playing poker online afterwards, and he had never been interested in stuff like. But that's afterwards. I mean, you can do more of these animal studies on primates, you know, and on different animals, and see how that affects it. All of this stuff. There's
many monkeys gambling.
Gambling and smoking, just like those old posters.
I do believe that anytime I get onto any of those card gambling sites, I'm probably playing with at least 90% monkeys. You know what I'm saying?
It's 40% monkeys, 40% bots, and 20% people with Parkinson's on medication. And then you. But yeah, so I think this is interesting. You know, there's a bunch of other stuff that medications that this talks about, you know, from antidepressants to asthma medication, apparently giving people some symptoms of ADHD, kind of making them go hand in hand. There's a lot of this stuff that's happening. And I think an important thing to remember is, we mapped the genome literally during our lifetimes. We didn't know that. We're mapping the brain now. We know a decent amount, but we don't know everything. And the more we know and the more we learn, the more we can go back and keep enhancing and replacing these medications. And we do have the ability to do it faster now. Think about how long we were giving people lithium and Valium and things like that before we, we started coming up with other antidepressants and other mood lifters and other things that were not turning people into zombies. But, we do the best we can with what we have, and hopefully we're always doing better.
I guess the most important thing is to disavow ourselves of the notion that a medicine does one thing, right? I took a thing to have it do one thing, but you're putting it in your body, and it's probably going to have a whole variety of effects on you. And some of them are the thing you want, and some of them perhaps are the things that you might not want. And I think it's important for us to keep that in mind, at least.
Do you know what I always think about medication as? Those really hardcore, like old school dungeon run games? The really, like the ones where like you eat a mushroom and it improves your intelligence, but it lowers your strength just a little. Right?
Oh yeah, like a hardcore roguelike.
Like a hardcore roguelike. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Where there's no just red potion, blue potion. Red potion, blue potion doesn't exist. What exists is like, if you eat this steak, you get 5 points to strength, but you get 2, but you lose 2 points of speed or intelligence,
it's always a trade-off. Yeah.
And you've got to be constantly min-maxing your character. That's the way I think about it, is like, I take a medication that, that makes me more attentive and more empathetic and less impulsive. But it also makes me a little more tired, and it makes me, you know what I mean? Like, it does these little things to me, and you have to be aware of them. And as long as you're able to be made aware of them and keep them in mind, you can mitigate a lot of those things. You know what I mean? When I hear about these things about acetaminophen dulling pain, but also dulling empathy, that's something that you can notice if you, this sounds stupid because I'm always flogging this and it seems silly to flog it, but especially on an award-winning science podcast, but like mindfulness meditation where you like sit and you're like, oh, that's a thought that I just had.
Right.
Why am I having that thought? Just
Right.
really understanding, observing the thought and realizing you don't have to act on every thought or every impulse, because some of these thoughts and impulses come, like you're saying, from chemical reactions that you have no control over.
Right.
But you can decide whether they are good or bad for you. And as long as you're given the information, I think it's okay. I think most people with Parkinson's would probably tell you that in exchange for the Parkinson's medication, if they just had to watch for the fact that they might want to gamble and shop more, they'd just watch for that.
Yeah.
And not have not have these symptoms of their Parkinson's. So this is not an anti-medication thing. I want to be very, very clear on that. I think it's just a fascinating thing about the growth of our knowledge over the last couple decades.
I'll tell you what, the next time I have a headache and I take a couple of pills for the headache, I'm going to be really aware. I'm going to be hyper aware of like, okay, how does this change how I feel? And I think that's useful. I think, oftentimes it's just get rid of the pain, move on with my life. And I think being more aware and being a little more inward looking and in tune with your body when you put something into it and I think this even goes for like sugar. You know what I mean? Like how do I change when I change my diet in any way? Even I think that those are all useful things that we could bear being a little more mindful of. For sure. And it's something that I've been trying to do. Speaking of mindfulness, Jeff. Yeah. How's your internet usage been this week, buddy? What do you mean? Pretty good. Why? Pretty good. Well, because we started the Memento Mori channel on the Discord, like we talked about. Oh, yes. No, everybody's been trying to keep their social media down and try to be doing healthy internet usage. How has your internet usage been this week? I didn't get that's what you were asking. I have actually been trying real hard to leave the phone in a different room, especially when I've been interacting with my kids. I have seen them gravitate to the phone. The phone controls the music in the house too, and the kids love the music. Yeah. So they want to be on the phone. They want to be near the phone. They want to pull the phone out of my pocket. So I've been trying to just like leave it in the other room more often. And I'm trying baby steps, but I'm trying. And how's it been feeling? It feels good. We went we talked in the pre-show about how I went to Arizona to my in-laws' place this week to try to escape some of the smoke in California. And that was a great opportunity to just really detach and feel like, okay, I'm setting the phone aside. I'm not checking Twitter. I'm not checking social media. And man, it felt like a break. It felt like a respite. It was amazing. Yeah. We've had some really good, first of all, I'm super glad. And I'm proud of you. Thank you. I know how you are with that social media, and it means it's good. It's good that you're not doing it as much. Well, I'm still angry tweeting about the news articles. I know you're still angry tweeting. I see it, but I'm not, it's good that you're taking the baby steps. That's all I'm saying. Thank you. Yeah. Appreciate it. I do want to say that there have been a bunch of great people in the Discord, recommending things like Ev Brita said something about meditation, like I said. We've had some people, Andrew Tomlinson has been talking about how he's limited his internet usage. Somebody mentioned turning their phone to black and white has made it less interesting. Yeah, the decolorizing the phone makes it less appealing. And I've seen that. That's an interesting technique. I think that's really fascinating. And then somebody was saying, Apple screen time. A lot of people just check their screen time, but you can have screen time actually turn off your access to specific apps during the day after you use them for a certain amount of time. And they've been saying, cool. Yeah, apparently that's new. So that's something that's really helpful. Anyway, if you want to join us in the Memento Mori channel, it's on the Discord. All of our patrons have access to that. That's patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. Once again, you also get access to things like our patron hangouts. We just had one yesterday. You get things like early episodes. You get all kinds of bonuses. Please check it out. It's the only way we support the show. It's patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. And we're going to keep checking in with Jeff. Yeah, you got to keep me honest. I think I can. You're going to do great. You're going to do great, buddy. Thanks.